Greetings, Grapple fans. It's Mike Quackenbush delivering tournament action from the Wrestle Factory direct to you. This Free Match Monday, I've got a choice cut from the Johnny Kidd Invitational, and the rest of the tournament is available to stream right now on CHIKARAtopia. Watch as Ecuador's Juan Francisco de Coronado trades holds with England's own James Mason. It would certainly be an unprecedented feat in the history of CHIKARA for a wrestler to win their first point toward a future title shot by beating the reigning champion. And yet we could see that right here in the Johnny Kidd Invitational in this fourth and final opening round contest. James Mason of England, Juan Francisco de Coronado of Ecuador to lock up for the very first time. Our senior official, Bryce Remsburg, is going to be working hard all day long, just like yours truly. The bell has sounded. James Mason arrived yesterday from jolly old England, flew in here to Philadelphia, came in down the road in South Philly, made the trek up here to the northeast corner to join us at the Wrestle Factory. We had a very special training session last night here that included Johnny Kidd himself. Quite the sneer on the face of our grand champion. A disgusted look. The Chikara is quick to rally behind the debuting James Mason, but of course, well, he's not making his professional debut, as you heard, a World of Sport original, and that means dating back to the World of Sport Wrestling program on ITV that was canceled in the late 1980s, really forever changed the course of wrestling in Great Britain. And James Mason, one of his children, Johnny Kidd happens to be the godfather of. So, very personal significance for James Mason to be here today. Graces us with his presence, and last night graced us here at the Wrestle Factory by sharing some of his terrific scientific wrestling acumen. One of the chief topics of discussion between Kidd Mason and myself were the differing vocabularies. And I'll bring some of that up as we see it come into play here. I want to keep a very close eye on the action for you. I am super intrigued to see how this contest plays out. For this reason, James favors a quicker tempo to his matches. And if you've ever seen our grand champion in action before, you know he is the polar opposite. He prefers a snail's pace. So who will succeed in dictating the pace to the other? James Mason, more than 20 years professional experience. He's wrestled technical masters like Johnny Kidd and Steve Gray, by his own estimation, more than 100 times. So he is expert in these types of matches. Juan Francisco de Coronado cannot boast of a similar experience. He's been wrestling only a fraction of a time that James has. But there are far less miles on that model. Juan Francisco de Coronado has a little bit of youth on his side, and this is a tactic that he will use to slow the pace. Juan comes in with a bit of a champion's advantage, although in this case, given its non-title, that advantage is purely psychological. He's the best of the bunch, the cream of the crop. He's the one that carries that huge gold belt to the ring. James Mason makes a promise to the audience. He's going to get the better of Juan Francisco de Coronado. Twists right through. Didn't even stop an overhand wrist lock and twists it again. Oh boy. Going to work on the left wrist of Juan Francisco de Coronado and punishing him in multiple ways. Looking for the approval of the audience. Whoa! Big old vertical arm lift. The crowd here is firmly behind James Mason. They've scarcely seen him scratch the surface of what he is capable of. A veritable mat master is Mason. And that's not to take anything away from our reigning grand champion who's just been smacked in the face twice, whether he realized it or not. Mason is so unbelievably quick. You might look at a guy this size and imagine, well, he's a heavyweight, probably wrestles at a certain kind of pace. You couldn't be more wrong. He is as nimble as a lightweight, is James Mason. And he does prefer that quicker pace, manipulating. Oh, you could just hear the crack of all those tiny bones in the hand of Juan Francisco de Coronado as Mason continues to punish the grand champ. With a wrench on the end of that whip. He smacks Juan Francisco again, caught him sleeping. Put him in an armbar and smacked him on the backside of the head. I don't think Juan knows which direction James Mason's coming from. Let's see if Juan can come up with a counter. Floats behind, he's got a hammerlock, or as our British friends would call it, backhammer. And yes, you can be certain James Mason knows his way out of one of those. Looking for a knuckle lock is Mason. He's got one. Coronado obliges him, but the heavier Mason's got the advantage here. Juan's doing the right thing, putting his head underneath and driving up so he can regain his vertical base. He's going to go behind the knee. Can he take Mason down? He can. Can't keep both arms down, though. Shoulders exposed, but only for the count of one. Mason now with a great-looking back bridge. I got to see a little bit of this on display last night at that training session I alluded to. You are not going to break the back bridge of James Mason. There's a reason why wrestlers develop their necks and trapezius regions so thoroughly. You will not break that bridge, but you will get caught in a monkey flip. Mason elevates Juan Francisco to Coronado, keeping the shoulders up there on one side, on the other side as well. Bryce, nobody's shoulders down. I don't know if you saw that, but Mason slapped Juan Francisco to Coronado as he let go of the back bridge. He smacked him 4 times now. Yeah, that's right, Bryce. Those are all open-handed blows, so those are legal strikes. He's not striking with a closed fist. We aren't boxing here. We are wrestling. Well, Juan's trying to dissuade the audience. I think they want to see you get slapped again, buddy.
He's fine, okay.
Big grin on the face of Juan Francisco de Coronado. Last night at our training session, James was telling me a little bit about the work he's done studying Juan Francisco de Coronado, especially preparing for the Coronado clutch, which is Juan's pet submission hold. But I have to wonder, if you watch some Juan Francisco de Coronado, would you trust him in a show of sportsmanship? Well, who knows? I guess at the Johnny Kidd Invitational, anything's possible. In the spirit of good sportsmanship, a nice shake of the hands, and I didn't quite finish my thought, did I? And already Juan Francisco's got me eating my words. Got that headlock on. Side headlock takeover to Juan Francisco de Coronado. He's cradled by James Mason. Shoulders were exposed for a second, and a second time exposed for just 1 second. He's going up high over the shoulder blades. No, James is going to try and come out the back door. Keep your eye on James Mason here as he rocks right out the back door of that side headlock. And once both guys begin to perspire a little bit, that is entirely possible. Although you can see checking to make sure. Your ears, of course, can be cauliflowered by a move like that. All those tiny blood vessels in there can be broken, and when your ear fills up, you end up with the phenomenon known as cauliflowered ears in wrestling. Using his posterior to free himself, sunset flipping to a double leg Nelson. Excuse me, it's Juan who's got control. No, James. It's Juan. It's James. Juan once more. James, the double leg Nelson. Who's got who? Nobody's pinned. Back and forth seesaw action between these two. Juan Francisco's given up a lot in weight and experience to James Mason, who's done a great job of dictating the pace. It is to his advantage. Oh, and just that momentary distraction. You saw Mason pay a little bit of attention to the audience here, and the moment he took his eyeball off Juan shot in. He's got a front chancery, but only for a moment. He's been lifted off his vertical base by Mason, who's going to deposit him on the top turnbuckle here. Will he get the break? Oh. Look at Juan Francisco covering up. Well, safe to say, James Mason's endearing himself to the members of the CHIKARA on hand today here, standing room only at the Wrestle Factory as we honor Johnny Kidd, my friend and mentor. Version of the Scorpion Deathlock here, but very precarious. You see wrestlers, including Dos Caras, who will lock this under a thigh, but you have to be very careful. That boot slides into your nether regions. Boy, you do not want to get stuck like that. Juan Francisco behind the knee took down James Mason, one of the Coronado clutch. James was ready for it. Boy, he got out of there in a hurry, didn't he? Came walking around into a drop kick from Juan Francisco, who covers up Mason for 2. Only a count of 2 registered by our senior official, Bryce Remsburg, who's doing a great job keeping his eye on the action. Juan sends Mason chest first into the ropes, and he ricochets back. He's met with a forearm blow into the kidney region. That one higher in the back, middle of the spinal column. Juan's looking for a third. Change of direction came through, swung high with a clothesline. He had to go high to take down James Mason. Mason's left shoulder came up off the mat despite the hook of the far leg and a back press from the reigning champion of CHIKARA, Juan Francisco. Continues to press the advantage. James Mason puts the brakes on. He goes right through the opening. Underneath, picks up that leg, toe, and ankle, looking for the spin out. No, look at Mason. He is quick as a cat. Change of directions. It's Juan to the ropes. Mason was ready, tried to go around, then he couldn't get it. Kneeling, no, it's into the double leg Nelson out the back door, folding, press to James Mason, who's just a little too high, but he came out with a double leg Nelson anyway. Juan Francisco's up high, can he get it? Look at that, put a waist lock around the posterior to try and hold the double leg Nelson, and he couldn't do it. How many times have you ever seen that? Great scientific wrestling on the part of James Mason, but it wasn't enough to keep the Coronado down. Neither competitor able to hold the advantage for very long in this one. Tried to dig inside for a single leg pick. Juan Francisco de Coronado's got it. He stepped inside this time when he took the toe and ankle. You'll see how his variation is a little bit different than James's, but that opens the door for exactly that counter. And you better believe James Mason knows a few ways out of a toe and ankle hold. Came across the chest there, was able to hold a press. Woo! Fired in that forearm. Last night we were talking about our European friends, they just call those forearm blows. I said, why do you Americans call them European uppercuts? James Mason has the advantage. And gave Juan just enough of an opening there to jaw jack him. Came back with a double thrust. Back and forth volley between these two competitors. Snapmare to Mason. Watch! James Mason with a somersault senton. Perfect execution in the dead center of the ring. I think he was riding just a little too high on that cover. Maybe thinking about a stump puller here. No, he stepped inside both legs. Now, if he lays down, yes, that's exactly what he's doing. Look how he's going to use his legs here to effectively build a full Nelson on Juan Francisco de Coronado. But of course, the muscles in your legs are so much more powerful than the muscles in your arms. He's pushing down on the neck and spine of Juan Francisco just like a full Nelson would, but he's doing it with his legs. Counter Juan. Can't keep the shoulders down, not from that position. Not enough pressure. Full Nelson. Used to get to a crucifix. Tell you what, I think I've seen that once ever in all my years as a professional wrestler and a professional wrestling fan. James Mason just put it on stage here at the Johnny Kidd Invitational Tournament this afternoon. Innovative wrestling on the part of our grand champion here. He's blending together two separate submission holds. I think, unfortunately, his body just isn't centered enough across the shoulder blades. It is not. James gets the middle strand. That's going to force the break. Well, Juan's not giving him a clean break at all. Really pressing his luck here with our official is Juan Francisco de Coronado, who's becoming increasingly desperate here as the match wears on. He's really been befuddled by James Mason, who goes over the top and shows off his agility to the middle strand. He flies high cross body. He's got the shoulders covered. No, Juan Francisco de Coronado able to get the shoulder blades up before the final and fatal 3 count could be registered by our senior official. And a terrific knee lift finds the mark in the sternum of the grand champion as James Mason stalks his prey and sends him across the hypotenuse of the ring. Wonderful looking monkey flip sends him back to mid-ring, and Mason pressing the advantage while he's got it, starting to hit his offensive stride. Double leaping knee pat right into the proboscis of Juan Francisco de Coronado. Gonna send him for the ride one more time. Monkey flip perhaps. No, he graham crackers it into the folding press. Feet on the ropes. Bryce missed it. Well, there you heard the official word from our Master of Ceremonies, Vlad Radonov. It is the current and reigning Grand Champion, victorious in that non-title tournament contest against James Mason, but he had a little bit of help from the middle rope to do it. And Bryce Remsburg, keeping his eye on the shoulder blades, did not see what went down. A very frustrated James Mason. He came all the way across the Atlantic to be here today as we honor the legacy of his friend and mine, Mr. Smooth Johnny Kidd. and a huge and well-deserved "Please Come Back" chant for World of Sport original and simply a fantastic technical wrestler, Mr. James Mason.